back to the second hour of LoveBabz, Love Talk on Babz Rawls-Ivy. It is Tuesday, January 17th, and the weather is like Maryland. All right, let me get my PSA on. As I have said to the Sisters of Links Incorporated, the New Haven chapter, Connecticut chapter, that I would say this PSA for the month of January, and I didn't get it done in the first hour, so I'm getting it done in the second hour. January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Do you know someone who was a victim of human trafficking? Human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery with illegal smuggling and trading of people for forced labor and/or sexual and physical abuse. This is a worldwide problem as well in our beautiful state of Connecticut. Traffickers target people, both boys and girls, who are vulnerable to promises of a better life and forcing them to live and work in unfair and abusive conditions. Many traffickers are well known, living near us and promising and convincing young people and families that their children will have a better life in a new place. Under the United States federal and Connecticut state laws, human trafficking is a crime. Let's work together to protect our children against these horrific crimes. If you or someone you know is a victim of human trafficking, or you would like to learn more about this serious issue in our society, please contact Love 146 at 203-772-4420. That's 203-772-4420. We need your help. This public service announcement is being sponsored by the Waterbury, Connecticut chapter of the Links Incorporated. So, all right, trafficking, the stopping of trafficking, human trafficking is near and dear to my heart for personal and humanity reasons. So I just wanted to say that. So when I left off, I was telling you that when I was at the Danbury Federal Prison Camp, I got letters every day from my church family and other friends and sorority sisters. And that made all the difference. I kept them all. I have them all gathered. And I haven't read them since then. So, but people were just checking in and just trying to keep the faith and stuff like that. My minister would mail sermons, because we streamed our sermons before streaming was even a thing. We recorded them because we had elderly members who could not attend. So they would be recorded and then transcribed. And she would periodically send, she wrote me all the time, but periodically she would send me the sermon. And I just found it all helpful. So and I'm bringing this up because I know that the Chrisleys are walking into federal prison today, prison camps in different places. She's going to Kentucky and he's going to Florida, and what that was like. I hope they got good counsel about what to do in there. And I was so prepared. I was so unbelievably prepared, but not prepared. You're never prepared to lose your freedom. But at least I had a fighting chance of surviving in ways that other people who just walked in did not. So I'm always going to be grateful for that. I'm telling you, I benefit from undeserved grace every day of my life. So, it was stunning to get the mail. And my friend Ron Thomas tried to send me books, but but because I was just new, I hadn't gotten through the intake process, he couldn't send them. So I was like, okay, because he was so nervous that I was in there without, things to do. There was a whole library. I read a book a day because it takes about 30 days to process you. I had already went through my prescription. I brought a hardcore prescription, and then I brought my prescription pills. I bought and I brought my CPAP machine. They let me bring that in without any problems, and distilled water. Who knew? So they let me do that. And that was fine. And it took 30 days to process you. So to intake you. So I was like in a big dorm room, right? Like it was like, a holding room. I spent my whole time there. I never got assigned to a cell. And I never got assigned to a cell because I wasn't there long enough. I didn't get a internal exam either because I wasn't there long enough, which I'm grateful. They did mess up my pills, so they decided to give me something else rather than what I was prescribed. And I was like, are y'all, and there's nothing you could do. Like this, I didn't have any phone privileges, so I couldn't call anybody. And so they gave me enough of my prescription for like 15 days. And then they were like, well, we're going to get you a new prescription of what we think you should have. Swear to God. These doctors don't know me from nobody. They don't have my medical records, nothing. That's based on the prescription that I brought in. Oh no, we're going to change this and give you something else. Swear to God. So I started rationing my own pills because they were like, well, when you finish these pills, you come back and let us know. But we know we're going to give you 15, 16 or 20 pills or whatever it was, like 15 to 20 pills of my own medicine that I came in with. But we're gonna get you the prescription for what we think you should have, not this. I was like, I don't know, y'all. Like, what is this? Like, what? Oh, well, given that you're on these, you should be on this, and blah blah blah. It's like, I don't know you. I don't know you. But so I had enough pills to get me halfway through, and then whatever they gave me, I just didn't take. I just didn't take it. So I don't know, my blood pressure, I probably could have had a stroke in there because I didn't take whatever they gave me. I just didn't trust it. And I was so, see, this is what privilege is. And I knew it. I don't give a damn what the hell y'all are prescribing. I don't know you. I'm not taking based on your judgment. And I don't know if I could trust your judgment because you're not having a conversation with me about my health. You are making assumptions. It was that kind of stuff that gets you locked up in solitary confinement. They didn't. I think they gave me some grace because they were like, okay, she just got here. I was just incensed. And then I had to realize I'm not on the streets. I'm in this place that they tell me, Lord have mercy. So that was that. So I had to have their pills. I didn't take them. I just I'll just wait till I go home and they had my pills. When I left, they gave me my pills back. Thank you. It's like, okay. So the same with the food. I couldn't, I had to put in for dietary restrictions, right? Because I have a milk protein allergy, but that takes a while. So in the meantime, I had to eat what was ever in front of me. The food wasn't awful. Like I ate all right. I got up in the morning, I had eggs, whatever. Like I knew I couldn't have, they had some Jewish women in there who they fixed some food for, and they call themselves being healthy cooking, right? So you could always tell if the brothers was back there cooking, the food was good. If the brothers wasn't back there cooking, but it was always a brother back there, so like a head chef, somebody or other. And so I was having conversations about it. And then I guess he realized I was an inmate. Then he got all snotty with me about, who do I think I am kind of ish. And we were having a perfectly legit conversation because I was like, well, my background is in culinary, blah, blah, blah. And, and I have this allergy and that. And he was really talking and then he was like, I don't care. It just cold went mean. I was like, and so the other ladies were like, you don't got to talk to her like that. She's just trying to figure out what she can eat so that she won't get sick. He's like, that's my problem. I was like, damn, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you about ingredients, brother. Just, you don't got to be an asshole, but he was. So anyway, I'm telling you, people just were so helpful to me. So I would, I'd always have a salad. You would have thought I would have lost some weight in there, but I didn't. Because when I went to put my clothes back on after 29 days, they were snug. Like I couldn't get them And I should have just made myself wear those clothes. I wore, I bought myself, what did I buy? Like hospital, that hospital, no, sweatsuit. I couldn't figure out what it was. So I bought myself, while I was in there, a sweatshirt and a sweatpants, I think. Or they give you that. I think they give you that. I think they give you a sweatsuit. They gave me a sweatsuit. And you don't keep the khakis, but the sweatsuit you can keep. So I wore the sweatsuit out. And then when I got home, I had it for a couple of days and then I threw it away. I was like, I don't want this mess. It's not even flattering. Like, why am I wearing this prison clothes? Like, I'm not wearing prison clothes anywhere. I can laugh at it now, but then I was suicidal. So it's funny now, but it wasn't then. I was the hell of suicidal then, but I was like, I'm not wearing these prison clothes. What the hell am I going to do with this mess? So, so I just was like, all right, I'm throwing these away. I threw them away, never looked back. So you'll never catch me in a gray sweatsuit, and you'll never catch me in khakis, ever. Not green, not tan, not burgundy, ever. So that's that's the story. So yeah, so I put on some weight because all I could eat was like potatoes and salad and bacon, sometimes sausages. Like I could eat stuff that didn't have, butter in them. And they had all kinds of buttery things, but it was all right. I made breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I walked the track a little bit because it was nice. It was beautiful up there in October because I was up there from October 1st to October 28th or October 29th. And Danbury is beautiful. It's very, the views, the vistas was lovely. And there was a little gym down there by the track. You could lift weights or whatever. I didn't do any of that. I just walked the track. And I'd walk the track in the morning. I walked the track a couple of times in the morning. I'd bring my book. I'd walk the track, sit down, read some, walk a little bit more. I mean, because I didn't have anything to do. Sometimes I go up to the chapel, sit in the chapel. Sometimes I sit in on people's study groups, like Bible class. I couldn't abide those too much because they were just ridiculous. So I just talked to women. Sometimes I go to the library, and then when they found out I could read and write, that's when I really just started reading letters and writing letters for people in jail and prison, and that's how it gave me some purpose. It gave me some purpose. They'd have movie nights, so I go and watch TV somewhere. I didn't oftentimes like that. I mean, there was fights in there. People would fight, and stuff like that. I mean, it was just there was a lot of pain in prison. There's a lot of pain, and it's unfortunate that you have such a captive audience and no programming to deprogram that trauma from people. I mean, it's such a captive audience. Like colleges and universities don't even have that kind of captive audience. And if they would only just see prison as, I mean, it should be enough that you're away from your family and your community, but to create the conditions in prisons that you're so vulnerable to manipulation and violence, and it's such a missed opportunity. Clearly a missed opportunity. Because people on the outside be like, well, why should they get all that? Why couldn't they just behave themselves on the outside, and then they could have got all this on the outside? Why should I have to pay to have them get all this on the inside? I don't get this. My kids ain't going to college, blah, blah, blah. We not pay. I can't afford, I can't, da-da. And you're just like, do you want these people to come back and wreak havoc in your communities? Do you want a different outcome? Do you want to change the trajectory of poverty and lack? And that's where it becomes problematic. And I get it. I can see where people are like, I don't want to educate a pedophile. I don't want to educate a mass murderer. I don't want to educate people who've done so much trauma and harm. I get it. But the majority of the people in prison are not murderers and human traffickers and all this other kind of stuff. But most of them are in there for nonviolent kinds of things. And we should be able to sort of have a track for people who've not committed violent crimes. So anyway, it was I don't know why because the Chrisleys got me talking about prison, because I'm thinking about what they're going to face and what they have to deal with, and how they're going to make friends or not make friends in prison. I came with you couldn't have more than $100 on your books, which is your account. So I came with $100 and I came with $100 in cash just in case. So so they took them both. So I ended up with $200, but I couldn't access it for like a week. That's what I mean. Just the sheer foolishness of things is stunning. Just the foolishness of prison and the way that they do things. And I'm sure there is some rationale or some reasoning behind why things take so long. And I would imagine that it is based on an archaic system of checks and balances. But it's just, so you just have to wait. So I didn't need people to send me any money because I had money waiting on the books, to buy stuff. And I just spent money on stamps, So that's what I did. And paper. And then you had to buy your own little toiletries beyond what they, when you walk in, they give you a little travel bag of stuff, like a toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna deal with this. And then, it's just it's an interesting experience to go to prison. Like I said, I don't think I could have lasted longer than what I was in there. I think 29 days was it, because I could feel that last week, because I didn't tell people how long I was going to be in there while I was in there, because they were like, don't do that, because ish can happen to you. You could get to a fight and that prolongs your stay and all this other kind of stuff. So I was easy breezy lemon squeezy in there. How I am is how I was. I didn't go in there hard in like I was a badass. I just went in there like how I am, like talked to people, found out about people, delved into their lives, how they got here. Some of the stories were just like, I was just like, but I could feel, I could feel the shift coming. So I'm glad that I left when I left, that it was only 29 days, because I think I would have had to I would have had to make some decisions about how to align myself with folks, depending on, how I'm paying attention to who does what and who, how do you stay out of the way? So I came in there already with the religious slant. So I was already going to Bible study, prayer meetings. So I was already doing that. only because it just felt like a safe space to be in. I didn't care about these ministers and their foolishness, but some of them were genuinely concerned and doing the work of God, I would imagine. But I just was looking at the landscape and where I needed to have alliances. I honest to God, I mean, you just have to sort of think like that a little bit. Nothing happened to me, but I could feel it coming because, I could feel it coming. And so I just was like, okay, this is getting a little tense, toward the end. That, the last couple of days, that last week, it was tense. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really, and listen, to my surprise, when they brought me, when the head CEO, Kate, brought it, or whatever she was, I don't know, it's like, I don't know what she did. Overseer, I'll just say overseer. She brought me in and she said, oh, you're leaving on the 29th. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they count the day in court as a day served. Oh, that made me so unbelievably happy. I was so happy because I was just, my mind was October 30th, I will be walking out of here. No, I walked out first thing, October 29th. I barely ate breakfast, but I wanted to have, there were some women in there who were so amazing that they wanted to have breakfast. So I had breakfast. Then I got my ish, and I was like, when they called me, I was ready to go. I didn't have to go pack nothing. I was already packed. Because when she had told me the 29th, I was ready like Freddie to rock real steady. Let me tell you something. So when I walked out of there, I was just like, it just felt like an unbelievable time warp. Like I felt like I was in another dimension. And when I walked free, it was something. It really was something. I mean, as soon as I got through the doors, I felt free. Like I felt free. And my brother was right there. My brother and his wife was right there. They wasn't late. They was right there. But I walked out. I was like, let's go. Whoop, whoop. Because they dropped me off. And I know, I knew that this pained my brother more than anything. Like he never said, he never let on. And I know through his connections that my safety was of importance. Never said anything to me about this time. Nothing. He never had a judgment about it. But I know that it broke his heart that I had to go do this. Right. Like I knew it. But he just was like, okay, we got you. We're gonna get you there. We'll get you back. He held down my household with Lawrence, and it just handled it. And then when he came and got me, dropped me off, I was just grateful, And when I got home, my friend Ron came right over. He's like, oh, I'm coming right over right now. I was like, I'm not even like it took me a minute to get my bearings in my own house. Like it took me a minute. Like I didn't just ease back. It took me like the first night that I slept in my bed, I couldn't rest. Like I couldn't rest, but it only took me like a day or two. And then I was like, okay, I'm good. Home, my own bathroom, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I look at the clock and I'd go, they're doing a count around the nation in every prison and prison camp in this country right now. And I used to hold that time, that space for that time. I can't even tell you what time they would come through now. I want to say like 4 o'clock in the morning, but I don't. Lights out, I think at 10, and then 11 on the weekends. So I was like, oh, so yeah, it took me a minute to. I got home and my friend Ron came right over. I was like, and I just looked terrible. Like I had on these prison sweatpants and sweat outfit. And I just was like, I My kids hadn't gotten home, so I got home before they were. So when Lawrence picked them up from school, they got out the car, and that little Margot came running, "Mommy! Oh my God, I missed you, Mommy!" Like, she came running. The other ones, they not so much. They were just like, "Hey, Mom, glad you're home, Mom." Not Margot. She came running and jumped on me and just was so glad and started crying. And I just thought, I don't ever want to have this experience again in my life. I don't. It was quite challenging, and I got through it. And through the grace of God, I got through it. So I got through it, and we did the damn thing. And so I'd spend the next few years trying to sort of stay out of the public eye and stay out of the people's minds and just, quiet and all of that. And here I am. So that's some of the story. Not all of it, but that's some of it. Some of it. So yeah, so I'm thinking about, people go to prison all day, every day, all the time. So it's not that I'm so fixated on the Chrisleys, but it's just such a public, case, and it's a white collar case. And I know something about white collar cases because of my own. So that's the only real reach here is that, I know what they're going to face, but they're white people. So it's going to be a bit different for them. And, I, as a Black person that committed a white collar crime, which is its own anomaly, its own unicorn, right? Because I don't know, like less than 3% of people in prison are white collar criminals, and the majority of them are white. So then you just throw me. And when I was at Dayberry Federal Prison Camp, there was a Black woman there who was a banker, and she was serving a ridiculous amount of time. But she was the only other Black woman, white collar person in there, like myself. Hers was a paper crime. Oh no, there was another Black woman. There was this other Black woman in there who, she didn't tell her family she was going to prison. She told a couple of people to keep up her apartment because she had to do, I don't know, like 18 months or some old thing. Like it was some time that she just knew she could fake it. And I said, well, wouldn't your family come by your house, be like, if they don't see you or whatever? She's like, well, I used to travel all the time, so they would just assume I was away or whatever. I said, well, how are you going to maintain your apartment? Like, oh, I put enough money away so my friends, the people I know built the rent will get paid. So when I walk back into my life fully. I just was amazed by that story. I don't know what happened to her. I can't remember her name. I guess if I looked it up, because I think I wrote people's names down on a piece of paper as I met them. But I was just baffled by that. I just was blown away by that revelation. I was like, girl, what? I was like, huh? So yeah, the majority of the crimes were drug crimes, or people, particularly with women, they were being, they were holding drugs for boyfriends. And here's the crazy part. This was the crazy part as far as I'm concerned. There'd be these guys who had drug girlfriends, women who hold stuff at different houses around the same city. That they was keeping house with different women with the same intensity as each woman. So each woman thought that she was, the woman. Crazy. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if anybody could talk me into holding some damn drugs. I don't, you got kids? And some of these women I remember somebody came and got me found me, because there was a woman on a phone. Her mother was watching the children and they were being evicted. She was on the phone with them trying to figure this out while they are removing stuff from her house with her grandma. Her grandmother didn't know what to do. Her mother didn't know what to do. So they came to get me and they were like, you worked in housing. What could you do? I was like, well, do you have an attorney? Do you have a legal aid? You need to catch up with some legal aid. If you get an attorney, they could probably stop this rather quickly. And so that's what she told her grandmother to do. And then they got an attorney and they did stop it, but she ended up getting kicked out of public housing because public housing doesn't allow for you to, serve time and come back into housing, even though her mother was watching the children, but her mother wasn't the person on the lease. Her mother was just there watching the kids, being the responsible adult, but they didn't want to hear that. I was like, ooh, you should be in New Haven. You'd have a better chance. At least we have a kind and caring housing authority leader. But I don't know where she was. I want to say down south somewhere, which would make sense. But it was painful. I just was like, she was crying. Her mother was crying. Everybody was crying. I was like, y'all gonna have to stop crying. I can't hear. And you can't really help people when you're on the phone with them, right? Because the COs would be like, they walking and monitoring. And so I had to stand back and shout. And then they didn't like that. So I had to walk by and then walk by again. I mean, it was just a whole level of chaos, and the good part is I'm a calm person by nature. So I was calm, and I'm a thinking person. So I'm always thinking about, situations and how to move through situations. So I was just walking through really quickly, just trying to, give her some advice on what to do. Because you can't stand there and talk to them while when people are having phone privileges, or you could get in the line and act like you waiting to get on the phone. And I didn't have any phone privileges, but COs don't know that. I mean, they don't know. They just don't see you on the phone. They just think, oh, she's not using the phone. So anyway. So yeah, that was one of many harrowing stories of prison. And I'm only talking about this because of the Chrisleys going to prison today. and I know what that's gonna feel like, I know how that's gonna feel. So that first night is gonna be challenging. So anyway, I gotta go. I gotta get in the wind. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. And I don't think I have a guest. So it's just be me and you. Me and you. It's just me and you. I'm here. You're here. We're here. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks, Harry. See y'all later.
If you feel